Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
everyone, and welcome to the Wed Vibes live session. So glad, as always, to see some familiar faces. And if you're new here, then welcome. Excited to see you. And I promise that you will get tons of insights by the end of this hour. So, guys, you know that our mission is to discover and showcase amazing wedding talents all over the world and also to empower you with all kinds of marketing and PR tools to help you to convert your talent into success. And starting this year, we invite more and more companies and experts from different fields to talk more and dive into the back end of your business. And this session today is part of this movement because we're going to dive into Instagram, the biggest and the major platform where you represent your work, when you connect with the right couples, where you find right partners, and when you want to be seen. And the content strategy is something that is never enough to talk about. So we have a great speaker with us, Codi from Planoly. She's a marketing director, and she will talk about stress-free social media. If it's even exists, Codi, you will tell how to stay consistent. So today, Cody will unfold all the major questions, how to plan the content strategy so you'd feel comfortable in balancing your personality, your portfolio, and your target audience, how to stay consistent, what is the right strategy, what are the planning tools, except of Planoly, you can utilize to streamline your social media game. And before I will pass over to Daria to give the right and the best introduction to Cody, I will also, as a tradition, to ask you to introduce yourself in the chat because we always praise ourselves that we build such an amazing community for the wedding professional from all over the world. So please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're joining from, what's your profession, and what's your name. And put the chat on fire because I always say the more you put comments, insights, questions in the chat, actually, the bigger value you have out of this 1 hour. Don't be just the listener. Be the part of this communication, be part of this chat that we have in the group conversation. Yeah. So please introduce yourself and
While I will
yeah.
introducing Cody to all of you. Yeah, so Cody is a director of marketing at Planoly, one of the most widely used social media planners platforms in the creator world. So I'm sure some of that not only knows about the platform but also uses it. I know that Planoly started like back in 2015, right? So it's been like in a journey for like 11 years at this point. And yeah, it was initially one of the first visual planners for Instagram, helping creators preview and organize their feed before posting. I actually remember I was one of the early adopters
Me too.
back in the day. Yeah, and since then it's grown into the powerful social media planning platform. And right now it's used by over 8 million creators and businesses. And of course, Cody will cover today Instagram and TikTok a little bit, but Planoly actually helps creator to use it for everything, for Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. And I feel like one of the fun facts, like interesting things I found about Cody, that she actually doesn't only teach social media, she lives by whatever she tests, whatever she teaches us today. You can find her on TikTok and Instagram. I will put her Instagram and TikTok name here, profile here, where she shares her life alongside her work. And she even ran a 30-day TikTok consistency challenge to put herself into her audience shoes, and it generated over 240,000 views along the way. So welcome, Cody. Thank you for joining us today and finding time to share some of your expertise.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and I'm excited to talk to all of you today.
Okay, so the floor is yours and take
Amazing.
us away with your insights while
Amazing.
I will share your profile here as well. Yep.
Perfect. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Don't mind my messy desktop. We were just talking about how it's a true sign of a marketer that I have 1,000 screenshots on my desktop.
As we all are, honestly.
Look
Yeah.
very moderate.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about stress-free social media and how to stay consistent. Yeah, if that's possible, if that exists, stress-free social media, but I'm going to try and make it as stress-free as possible for you guys. Thank you for that amazing introduction. A little bit more about me. I have been in marketing for going on a decade now, which is crazy to say, makes me feel very old. And I have worked everywhere from in-house at brands to on the agency side of things. I've done my own freelance work and worked with creatives and service-based businesses. So I've seen it all, and every time I think that I have mastered it, every time I think that I've got it all down, these social media platforms do another update, and there's another platform to master, or there's another format to master. So it can be very hard to keep up with, and I totally understand that firsthand. I know a lot of you are solo entrepreneurs and small business owners, and the last thing you probably want to do is to post on Instagram. That's not what you signed up for, right? Like you signed up to be a photographer, and now you have to go and post on Instagram so that people can find you. And so I totally see how that can be so overwhelming to say, on top of everything that I'm doing for my business, I now also have to come up with a social media strategy, and I've got to post 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. So today I'm going to break it down for you and show you some of the most effective strategies for what's working in 2026. We'll go over the different formats because there's so many different formats. Should I be posting reels? Should I be posting carousels? Like what's actually working? We'll go through a process for how to batch and schedule your content in an effective way that is going to manage your time in the best use of your time. And then we'll also go over keywords. This has been a really hot topic this year. We're seeing that a lot of social media platforms are functioning a lot more like search engines. So we'll talk about that a lot and what to do because I know people are very confused about what is a keyword, what's a hashtag, what's the difference, how do they work. So we'll spend a lot of time on keywords today. There'll be a ton of time for questions at the end, so definitely feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I know I talk very quickly, so if there's anything you need me to repeat, please let me know. And we will have some materials at the end that we can send out to you guys too that you can download. We have like a free ebook that has a lot of this information in it, so don't stress about making sure you write down every little thing. We'll make sure that you have everything covered. So I know they gave a great intro of Planoly, but I'll just give you a little bit more. Planoly did start in 2016 as the first visual Instagram grid planner. A little fun anecdote about that is that our founder, Brandy Pham, is a very visual person, and she wanted a way to plan her Instagram grid. So she was quite literally printing out the pictures that she wanted to post on Instagram and taping them to her wall and rearranging them in the orders to see what order to post them in. And her husband was a software engineer, and he looked at her and was like, this is crazy. There has got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Let me build you something. So he actually built her the first version of Planoly, which is really, really cool. And obviously, social media has evolved a lot since then, and so has Planoly. So we have evolved into a multi-platform scheduling tool. As you mentioned, we do Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Threads, YouTube. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but basically all the ones that are listed there. And about a year and a half ago, we introduced Creator Store, which is our link in bio tool. We were seeing that, a lot of our creators were mastering the planning and posting part of it, but then they were like, what's next? I want to monetize my expertise and I want somewhere where I can host all of my tools and my services. So we introduced Creator Store, which is a link in bio tool. So obviously you can include your links to your website, your Amazon storefront, your ShopMy, all that sort of stuff. But you can also sell digital products. So you can monetize your expertise with ebooks, digital downloads, e-courses. You can book your one-on-ones, you can book your appointments, like all of that sort of stuff you can do from Creator Store.
I think we lost Cody there for a second.
Oh, I thought
Hopefully
it's
she'll,
us.
yeah,
So I
no,
was just trying to turn it off and
it's
turn
her.
off the
Yeah,
camera.
hopefully she'll be back in a second.
Okay. Yeah. For now, let's read the chat and like get acquainted with everyone who's like joining us here. Okay. Yeah. I see some familiar faces. Viewers. Okay. Weird. Hello, hello.
What a bad luck for Cody. She's a marketing manager for the Planoly. She's supposed to have a stable connection, but life happens. Yeah, so hopefully she will rejoin and continue the session. Yeah,
Oh, there she is. Hi,
yeah.
Cody.
Hi, Cody.
You on mute.
Great that you are back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
Welcome.
sorry.
So,
We lost
nope,
you for a
that's
minute.
all
Yeah,
right.
good.
That's technologies.
That's my,
Yeah,
I think my Wi-Fi went out, so I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
you're good.
All right, let's get right back into it. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Okay, the show must go on. So
Yeah.
I don't know where I cut off, but I'm just gonna start at the top of this slide.
Yes. Hmm.
So okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about what is working in 2016. The first thing is AI, right? AI is such a big thing. It's taking over everyone's feed. We're seeing a lot of this generative AI and AI this, AI that. Every caption is written by ChatGPT. People are getting fed up with that. I will be the first to tell you that. I think you guys see it when you're scrolling through your feed. You can't read one more M dash, right? So, as AI has taken over our feeds, we are seeing this return to human storytelling. People are really, really craving these authentic human connections. And as business owners, this really works in your favor because it gives you the opportunity to show the behind the scenes of your business and show who you really are. People are really wanting to connect with that. So we'll talk a little bit about that more, but I want you to think about that because I think that is something that is trending right now that really, really works in your favor. Secondly, again, I talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but hashtags are not really a thing anymore, right? They still exist, but they don't work the way they did. And so the quote unquote growth hack, if you will, going forward is going to be really to focus on keywords and on optimizing for search engine optimization. And the last thing is going to be focusing on consistency over virality. So for a long time, it was, I'm going to post as much as I can. I'm going to post 1, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I'm going to post as much as humanly possible. And then one of them is going to hit, right? One of them is going to take off. It's going to go viral. It's going to get me millions of views. I'm going to get all of these followers. And we're seeing that that just doesn't work, right? Like even if it does work and you get some followers, like that is not really that valuable to you to get 100 followers from a viral video that really don't connect with you. And it's so much more value to get 20 great followers, right? Like 20 people who are actually interested in you, interested in your brand, interested in your business, that actually may become customers and may convert versus 100 passive followers that you got from some viral video. So really focusing on that consistency element.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you will humor me for a second, pull up your profile. I want to do a little bit of a mini profile audit because I think a
Okay,
lot of
let's do
people.
it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're
So the forced
Well,
participation,
yeah.
right?
Again, take
Yeah.
advantage of the session. Open the Instagram and just follow the checklist. Don't save
Yeah.
it for future, for later.
Yes.
No.
Everyone says, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, and then they never do it later, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. So it's real life workshop. Okay, ready.
yes. All right. Number one, I want you to just look at your profile picture, right? Is it a photo from 7 years ago? Is it a headshot from college that you haven't updated? I'm guilty of that. That was my LinkedIn profile until last year, right? And I was like, I don't look like that anymore. We got to update that. Is it an outdated logo from 3 rebrands ago? Is it off center? And you keep telling yourself, I'm going to figure out how to center that, and you just never have. Make sure that it's updated. Make sure that it looks good. This is the number one first impression that people see, right? Is your profile picture. Make sure that it's updated. Number two, make sure your username is easy to read and easy to remember and consistent across platforms. This is a big one. The other day, I was looking for a new brow tech right here in Austin. I found a girl on TikTok. I wanted to see more samples of her work, so I looked her up on Instagram. Couldn't find her anywhere, right? Didn't have the same username on Instagram as she did on TikTok. Now, I'm a little bit crazy, so I found her. I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm stubborn. I'm going to keep looking. I found her. But a lot of people aren't going to do that, right? They're going to just move on to the next person. So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you have the same username on TikTok that you do on Instagram, that you do on, whatever other social platforms that you're on. If that means changing it, if your Instagram username isn't available on TikTok, maybe you change it. Maybe you add an underscore or a period or something just to make sure that you can have that. The third thing, I want you to take a look at your display name. So this is not your username, but this is the display name that's like right underneath your profile picture. It's normally just your name, right? Or the name of your business. Something that I would really strongly encourage that you include is keywords in your display name. So if you want to look at Planoly, for example, our display name is Planoly, Social Planner, and Creator Store. So that way, when people type in social planner, we're going to come up for that search result. An example of this for a lot of you guys would be, okay, my name is Taylor Jones, and then I'm going to put a dash, and then I'm going to say ATX wedding photographer. So if somebody's going to go just search for wedding photographers in their search bar, you're going to come up for that. So just think about what's your business, what keyword can you put in your display name to kind of help with search results. The fourth thing is making sure your bio is updated. Again, this is something I think we've all been guilty of, is just leaving a bio for 2, 3, 4 years and not touching it. So is your bio updated, and does it have a CTA? Does it have a call to action? And that can be as simple as like book now, book a consultation, check out, my services, just something that gives the user some sort of like, what's the action I want to take here? The next thing is making sure your contact options are up to date, email, phone number, all of that sort of stuff, so that when they click on it, if you do have those on your profile, when I click on email and it opens up my email, is it actually going to email you, or is it going to an outdated email? The next thing, this is a big one. Are your Instagram highlights updated? I think another thing, people will save something to an Instagram highlight 5 years ago, and they'll have this whole service menu, right? But their pricing has changed how many times in 5 years, and that's just not up to date. So make sure that you're either updating those highlights or just removing old ones with outdated information. And the last one, this is a huge mistake that I see, is that your pinned posts are actually pinning your most important information, not just your most popular or your most viral post. I think you see this a lot. Someone's post will do really well and they're like, "Oh, I want to pin that." And I understand, wanting to showcase that, you're proud of it, but more often than not, that most popular post is probably not the most important key piece of information you want someone to see when they come to your profile, right? So what I recommend pinning is like probably have an introduction post, right? Like who I am. Here's a little bit about me. Here's a little bit about my business. Maybe then the second pinned post is like a service menu. Here are the services I offer. Here's some of my pricing starting points. Here's again a little bit more about my business. And then maybe your third pinned post, maybe it is like some of your best work, right? You want to highlight some of your favorite shots, something that they can get a little bit. Obviously, they can scroll through your profile, they can see, but take that opportunity to highlight your very, very best work instead of just your most popular work.
That's great comment.
Okay, now you can put in the chat like how many of of this checklist,
Yeah, the tick.
how many
Yeah.
how many tick boxes have you had, and how many things you have to actually fix right after this session. Okay.
I'm already giving you homework and we just started.
Yeah, but which is great. Which is great. We love homework. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So now let's talk about, oh, and my photo is not loading, but that's okay. Let's pretend it's there. My graphic designer is actually on vacation in France right now, so I had to make this whole deck myself. So hopefully I have not made a mockery of our branding. But all right, let's talk about posting consistently. Now, this is a big question I get, is how often should I post, right? And there's no magic number, which I'm sorry, I know that that's probably a disappointing answer, but there is no magic number. The correct answer is, how many times can you post consistently? If you can post consistently twice a week and that's all you can handle off the bat, that's fine. I want to see you there every Tuesday and Thursday. I want to see a post from you. If you can do more than that, if you can do 3 or 4, amazing, do that. If you can do 7 days a week, that's great. But I would question you, if you think you can post every day, could you maybe reel it in and maybe post less but post better quality content? Could you take a look at what you're posting? Are you just posting for the sake of checking a box and saying, "Oh, I posted today"? Instead, could you maybe post a little bit less but spend a little bit more time creating better quality content? The second thing that is going to help you is to create repeatable processes and workflows. So there's no one size fits all system that works for everyone, right? I think a lot of people get caught up in like, "Oh, I watched this YouTube video and they had this massive Notion ecosystem and this beautiful color-coded content calendar and all this stuff." And it's like, that's great if that works for you. But if that is going to be overwhelming to you and you're going to try it once and never go back to it, then that's not a good system for you. So focus on setting up systems that actually work for you. What that might look like, and this is a big one I really actually recommend, is scheduling time in your content calendar, or sorry, scheduling time in your calendar for content planning, right? So maybe you put a block from 3 to 4 p.m. every Monday, and that is your 1 hour. You don't book anything over that. You don't book client calls. You don't do editing. Nothing, right? That is your dedicated time that I'm going to sit and I'm going to work on my social media. It is time that you have set aside. Nothing gets in the way of that, and there's no excuses, right? Because you've set aside time to do that. And the last thing is batching and scheduling your content. So as a photographer, right, you're not going to go in, pull out your SD card, put it in your laptop, take a photo out, edit it, save it to your drive, and then start over and do the next photo, right? That's not how it works. You're going to go through, you're going to cull all your photos first, pick the best ones. And then you might go through and you're going to apply a preset to all of them. Then you're going to go back in and you're going to tweak individual edits on individual photos, right? Then you're going to save them all. Then you're going to send it to the bride and groom. You're not going to do that one by one for every photo, right? Same thing goes for your content. So step one would be let's just think about what I want to post, right? Let's spend some time organizing my ideas and let's think about, okay, what do I want to post a reel? Do I want to post a carousel? Do I want to jump on this trend that I saw last week? Let's just, number one, let's write down all of our ideas. Number two, once you've written that down, once you've figured out, okay, this is what I actually want to post this week. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create any reels. I'm going to edit any videos I need to make. I'm going to pull any photos I need for carousels. If I want to make a graphic, I'm going to do that. Now I have all my content. Next, I'm going to bulk upload all that content to my scheduling platform, hopefully Planoly, but whatever you use, that's fine. I'm going to upload that to my scheduling platform. Once that's in there, then I'm going to go in, write all my captions at once, schedule all my content. And then you're done, right? You've done it in stages. And you don't have to do this all at one time. You can do the scheduling thing I talked about, on the last slide. You can, on Mondays, maybe you're coming up with your content ideas. On Tuesday, you're creating it. On Wednesday, you're uploading it. On Thursday, you're writing your captions, right? Like you can set this up so that it's not overwhelming you, so that it's like, today I just have one task. I've just got to write my Instagram captions today, and then I get to move on with my life. One thing I really like to do, I keep in my notes app. I'm such a notes app. If you saw my notes app, you would think I was certifiably insane. There are probably 300 notes in my Apple Notes. But I keep a running list pinned at the top of my notes app of any content ideas I think of. So for myself, for my LinkedIn, for Planoly, for my personal TikTok, whatever it is, if I come across a content idea that I want to create, I drop it in my notes app and I just leave it there. And then when it's time to go create content, I'll pull up my notes app and I have a whole running list of things that I thought of throughout the last couple of weeks. I also save things to a saved folder on TikTok and on Instagram. So again, when it's time for me to come up with ideas, I can go in there and say, oh yeah, I saw this video. I want to make, my own version of this video. So just keeping those ideas throughout the month so that you have them when it's time to sit down and plan your content can be really, really helpful. And one thing I really, really like to use in Planoly, we have a feature called placeholders. So I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I want to plan my content, but I know I have this post that, I haven't created yet. I haven't had time. I wanted to do a post of like my favorite wedding photos of last year, my favorite wedding trends, right? And I haven't had time to create it. So what you can do in Planoly is you can actually drop in and schedule the content that you already have, and then you can leave room for these placeholders for content that you still need to build out. And then when you have that content, it's really easy. You just go, you click into it, you can say convert to draft, and you can add your content and schedule it. So this is my favorite feature. If I showed you our Planoly, you would just see it's just filled with placeholders because we just go in and we add all of our ideas to a placeholder. We do a lot of graphics if you go look at our Instagram feed. And so it also helps us plan like what color to design the graphics in because we want to alternate our colors. We don't like stacking the same color on top of each other. So it really helps with that as well. And then Instagram format. So we talked about this, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but not every Instagram format is created equally, right? You've got reels, stories, carousels, lives, everything. What do? This comes directly from Instagram themselves. They posted this table. We just made it look prettier. But they posted this table about how to use each different type of content. So when it comes to reels, I think we all know this. There's a huge push for short form video content right now. So reels are going to be your best way to reach new audiences. If you scroll through your Reels tab right now, you'll probably see there's a ton of people that you don't follow, right? Versus where you go to your normal feed, you're probably going to see a lot more people that you do actually follow. So, but on your Reels tab, they're pushing those Reels out to new audiences. So that's where you're going to discover new people, and that's where new people are going to discover you. So Reels are going to be really, really good for expanding your reach. Stories, on the other hand, right, are going to be seen primarily by people who already follow you. So that's really, really good for community building and strengthening and deepening those relationships with the people who already follow you. Carousels, on the other hand, are really, really great for education and for entertainment purposes. This is where you're going to see those like step-by-step guides and tips and things like that. And you'd see a lot of like saves and shares with carousels. That's our most like saved format of Instagram content is our carousels do really, really well. People save them because they want to come back to them later and look at them. Your in-feed photos, this is just a single feed photo as opposed to a multi-slide carousel. Your in-feed photos, this is obviously less and less popular. I don't know last time I posted something that was just a single slide, but these are good for communicating your brand's identity and your style and, aesthetic. on your page. As photographers, again, I know a lot of you guys are posting a lot of photos. And so what I would recommend is doing that in carousel format. And we'll dig into that a little bit more in the next slide of specifically why. But I would strongly recommend that you're posting carousels versus just like a single photo. Lives are good, obviously, for real-time engagement if you want to go live and like do Q&As and do some more audience relationship building. That's great for that. And then broadcast channels, I actually think I will die on this hill. I think broadcast channels are one of the most underused features on Instagram. I think it's such a good feature and such a great way to communicate with your audience and build community. I am in so many brands' broadcast channels and I love it. And I love our broadcast channel. I just think it's really, really fun. I would love to see more brands use this. And as solopreneurs, you totally can do this as well. It's a great way to show more of that like behind the scenes stuff. So if you're like you want to showcase like how you're editing or things like that, or we've seen a lot of success in like doing polls in our broadcast channel because people love clicking on buttons. So if you want to do a poll and be like, maybe you edit two different versions of the same photo, right? And be like, which one of these edits do you guys prefer? So it's just a really fun way to do some like audience engagement. Now, carousels are really interesting. If you've been on Instagram recently, you've probably seen a lot of carousels. And carousels are really having a renaissance. My personal gut feeling on why this is happening is that people are just a little bit sick of video. Video editing can take forever. I will tell you firsthand, I spent 40 minutes editing a day in my life video last night, and I didn't even like it. I didn't even post it. And it just takes a long time. So I think people are sick of everything having to be a video. So I think that's part of why we're seeing a lot of this like return to carousels and to more image heavy content. But carousels are really interesting on Instagram as well because with a carousel, you actually get two chances to show up in your followers' feeds. So the first time they're going to show the carousel, they're going to show it with the first slide. If somebody scrolls past that, they don't engage with it, Instagram's going to give it a second chance and they're going to show it to them again, but swiped open to the second slide. So what you want to think about when you're designing a carousel or putting a carousel together is not only your first image, but also your second image should also be a hook. And your second image should be something that can live alone without context of that first slide, right? So we think about this a lot when designing carousels of, okay, if you just saw this second slide without the first slide, would it still make sense? Or do you need that first slide for context? So we try to make sure that everything that we design the second slide is strong enough to stand on its own. And when you think about this from a visual perspective as well, you want to make sure that your second slide is just as like visually engaging as your first slide. So your first two photos should be the strongest in your carousel. And then a secret third way to get a third potential view on your carousel is to add audio when you post it, because if you do that, it could show up in the Reels tab. So not only is it going to show up twice in the regular feed, but now it may also show up in the Reels tab. And as we talked about earlier, Reels are going to be pushed to that audience of people who don't follow you. So if you take nothing else from this entire presentation, you can log off right now if you want to. Please post your carousels with audio. That is like the number one thing that I want you to take away from this.
Yeah, I will double it because with Bad Vibes, we constantly testing our content and we see that carousels work better for us than Reels for the class.
But not for everyone.
Not for everyone, but for us, for sure.
Because also, like, it can be used as excuse for the many photographers that they don't want to post reels at all.
Yeah.
However, it's still like two platforms, so two formats is relevant: galleries plus reels.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. We're the same way. We are the same, which makes me very happy because again, I hate video editing, so I love that our carousels do very well. But it is a necessary evil of being on social media these days, I fear. But yes, as far as carousels go, my number 4 tips, I guess. My top tip is to add music. Second, make sure that you're optimizing that second slide in case it does become the first slide. If you are designing carousels, if you are like adding text and things to them, you want to make sure that you're balancing your text with visuals. So you wouldn't just post, 7 slides, just all text, right? Instagram at the end of the day is still a visual platform, so people still want pretty pictures to look at. So make sure that you're not just, blocking giant blocks of text on every single slide. And then lastly, just make sure there's a smooth flow, right? You want to make sure that each slide goes into the next one and there's like a nice flow so that they keep swiping and that they get to the end. And we'll talk a little bit about TikTok here. So again, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what works...
Contour.
Sorry?
A contour.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So
Yeah, it happens with me all the time. I'm
there we
just
go.
clicking like on a video and it just goes to the next slide. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're here.
Yeah, yeah.
So what works on TikTok, we talked about this earlier, but that human connection that people are craving, that is really, really great on TikTok. And just for videos in general, you can do this in Reels as well. But specifically, I pulled some examples for photographers of, if you watch this video, they're showing these behind the scenes clips of like how they set the shots up. They're showing her shooting, and then they're going to go into more of the finished images, right? And so it gives a little bit more of a process. You're walking them through your process, showing them a little bit of the behind the scenes of how you got there. I think people, again, they like to see that, like, oh my goodness, they like to see that raw, unfiltered footage. And that is doing a lot better than this like polished, like everything is perfect, which I know as creatives can be very hard because we all want everything to be polished and perfect. So it's a little bit hard to let go and be like a little bit messy and show the messiness. But people really, really like that. I personally love watching editing videos. I find them so fascinating to watch someone go through their whole editing process and show, at the end when they flip back and forth between the raw file and the finished edited file. I just think I'm like, wow, you're so talented. And TikTok is really, really great also for that keywords that we were talking about earlier. So you can find people really well on TikTok because if you're including these keywords in your post, then people can find you. So I found this post by searching just like bride and groom wedding inspo, right? And so because they included that keyword here in their photo and also down in their caption, then I was able to find this. And this is an example of how you can do a carousel on TikTok too. So you don't have to just do TikTok or just do videos on TikTok. Carousels are also working really well on TikTok.
Contour.
Oh my Lord, guys. How many times can you guys hear that
No,
too? Can you hear saying
no, we
contour?
cannot hear anything.
Okay, great.
Like as I mentioned, it happens with me all the time. Yeah.
Okay, I know. I thought I muted them all except for apparently the one on the next slide that I keep clicking to. So, okay. But yes, carousels can do really well on TikTok, and specifically on TikTok, actually graphic, like designed carousels don't do as well, but more visual, just like photo carousels actually do really, really well on TikTok. So, which you might find surprising because Instagram has historically been, the photo platform, but the more graphic heavy carousels do better on Instagram, where the more just clean image heavy carousels do better on TikTok. Okay, let me pause this. Now, signature series or episodic content, as we like to call it, because it's like episodes of a TV show, is a really, really good way to get people to keep coming back to your profile on both Instagram and TikTok. So, some examples of that you maybe have seen is Nara Smith,
Nara
right?
Smith, yes, the legend, yeah.
Like every time I see her, I'm sat, right? Like I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
the next 5 minutes of my life, I'm gonna watch whatever
Yeah.
insane meal
You
you're
know
about to
what
cook.
to expect. Yeah.
Yes. Well, exactly. It gives you a level of comfort, right? Like I know exactly what I'm about to watch. It's my show is on, right? Like she's gonna make Cheez-Its from scratch while wearing a ball gown.
Yeah.
It's insane, but it works.
It works.
And the cooking space is a space that's so saturated, right? That's like, how are you going to stand out if you want to be just another food blogger? And she found a really cool way to stand out and create her own signature series. I saw a blogger who cooked her way through a cookbook. So every video was her cooking a different recipe from the same cookbook until she got all the way to the end, right? So that was something, and it keeps people coming back because they want to see what's next. They want to see the next episode in the series. And also it gives them, they can go and binge previous episodes, right? So they might go click on your profile and go watch previous episodes. Similarly, this is Galleria. She's in the beauty industry, another very, very saturated industry, right? It's like, how do you stand out?
Yes.
She does a series where she tests the darkest shade of every line that comes out, right? So this is the darkest shade of contour in this brand, which, as you can tell, is not very dark. And so it's obviously, she's talking more about like inclusivity in the beauty industry, but again, this is something that she's become known for. And so now when a beauty product comes out, people are going to go to her page because they want to watch her test that product and see how dark it is. So thinking about that, like what is a signature series that could be unique to you that will keep people coming back? That is a really, really good way to stand out on both. And this works on TikTok and on Instagram. We're seeing a lot more of this on Instagram as well.
Yeah, it's just I just watched the interview with Mr. Beast, and building on that on this like example, he told like in the beginning what brought him success is the consistency and the series. So his followers knew that, for example, on Monday they should expect something, like the sense of normality, the sense of like some sort of like habit that you actually create for your followers, that they know that
Yeah.
on Friday you do the Q&A, for example, like as a planner or
Yeah.
a photographer for everyone, and about your business, about the tips for your couples, etc. So once you can establish it over the course of, let's say, 3 or 4 months, I don't know, Cody, maybe you have different opinion, but I would say like
Oh, yeah.
maybe a few months, they will get hooked
No,
of
it's
this.
kind of building
Yeah.
the habit.
Building the
Because
habit,
it takes
exactly.
time to build the habit, but then you take advantage of what you've built.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as a, planner, it makes your life easier, right? Because it's like, okay, I already know what I'm posting every Friday. I'm going to do my Q&A every Friday. So that checks something off of your list, right? It makes your life
Yeah.
easier when you're planning content.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. Okay, we've touched on this. Let's get into it a little bit further. But what are keywords? What the heck are keywords? What happened to hashtags? What's going on, right? Hashtags for a long time were like this magic growth hack. You would go in to the first comment on your post and you'd put like 30 hashtags in there. This was so popular that Planoly, actually, we built a feature into Planoly called the first comment, where you could go and put it. And when we would publish your post, we would also publish the first comment full of all your hashtags. Like, this was such a big thing. Now, in the last couple of years, we've all probably noticed that hashtags are having a little bit more or a little bit less of an effect. And Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, actually came out last year and said, actually, hashtags don't do anything anymore, guys. Like, they don't improve your reach. You can still use them, and there are still benefits to using them in the sense of community building and things like that. But as far as search goes, like, they're really not going to help you find a new audience. They're not going to push your content out to a new audience. So what you want to do is think about your keywords. And what a keyword is a search term, right? When you go to Google and you search for anything, you're typing in a keyword. If you go to Google and you type in Mexican restaurants in Austin, that's your keyword, right? So thinking about, what do people search when they go onto these platforms? And people are more and more using these platforms. A study just came out earlier this week that 49% of people are using TikTok as a search engine, which is crazy, right? YouTube is the best example of this. For YouTube has been a search engine for as long as it has existed. Pretty much every YouTube session starts with a search. And so thinking about your keywords, and you want to be specific too, right? Because if you're very, very broad, that's going to be hard to get found. So things like wedding photographer, right? That's very broad. There's probably millions of videos that have the words wedding photographer in them. So you want to be a little bit more specific. Say Super 8 film wedding photographer in Chicago. That's a real term that someone would search, right? And you can use these keywords both in your caption, that's the number one place, but also in your on-screen text. So when you're editing your videos or your carousels, making sure that you're putting it also in that title. And if you're editing your reels in Instagram's editing app, it's called Edits, then Instagram can read that text. And if you're editing your TikToks in CapCut, then TikTok can read that text. If you are adding that text though in a third party, like something like Canva, and then uploading it, they can't, as of right now, they can't read that title text. So it's really important to add your titles either directly in the apps themselves or in their partner editing apps, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So how to find keywords. There's two ways to do this. My favorite way is on TikTok, because again, TikTok is really, really optimized for this. So what you'll do is go type a topic into TikTok, right? So I typed in wedding photography inspo. First thing I'm going to do is just look at the top videos underneath that search and say, okay, what phrases are they using that are helping them show up? What phrases am I seeing repeated over and over again? But then what you want to do is also scroll down, and on TikTok, they have this great feature where you'll see it says others searched for, and then they give you this whole list of things that are related that people have searched for. That's what, 6 content ideas right there for you. Save all those, take a screenshot, save them, add them as a placeholder, and go and make a video for every single one of them. They are handing you keywords right there. And you can click on those too and do the same thing. So if I click on cinematic wedding photographer, I scroll down, there's gonna be another list of 6, right? So it's gonna give you related keywords. So that's why TikTok is my favorite. Instagram is a little bit harder, not impossible. Instagram doesn't have as strong of a keyword-based search, but they have said that this is something they're working on building out. So I anticipate that in the coming year, they're going to put a lot of focus on this as they try to compete with TikTok. But you can do the same thing. You'll see I search social media tips and tricks, and I'm still seeing like 3 ways to improve your reach. Stories they skip versus stories they stay for. What I would tell myself as a new social media manager. So again, I'm still getting ideas. It's just a little bit less, personalized. And again, you can also go look at competitors, go look at people in your industry who you admire and say like, okay, I want to look at their top content. What keywords are they using? What titles are they using in their videos? What keywords are they using in their captions? And just like write those down. And this is a great way to also just like, get content inspiration of like, okay, I want to use a similar hook to them. I want to use a similar title. I like this video structure that they were using. So just like do some research. That's like also just the number one thing that I can tell people too is like go look at what people are doing. If you admire someone, don't copy them. Obviously, you want to put your own spin on it. But if you admire someone, go take a look at what they're doing and write notes down. Like literally write notes of like what are things that they do well that you want to emulate in your content. Okay, so now we've gone over keywords, gone over all the things. Now, the number one thing we get right when people are talking about, they can't be consistent, it's like, I don't know what to post, right? So the best places for you to source your content ideas, number one, we already talked about, is keyword research. Number two is FAQs. If you're getting the same question over and over again in your DMs or in your comments, it's worth doing a whole post about it, right? Then it's easily accessible. Maybe that's something you even pin to the top of your profile, right? So go through your DMs. You can literally find content ideas in your DMs from your followers if you're getting the same questions over and over again. Number three, I mean this in the nicest possible way from the bottom of my heart, but no one cares about your Instagram as much as you do. So no one is going to notice if you repost something from 6 months ago. Absolutely no one. I have to tell myself this all the time. You spend so much time creating content, and if something does well, if something resonates, or if you're particularly proud of a set of photos or something, it is totally fine to repurpose that content down the road. That content doesn't have one life cycle. You can totally repurpose it. You can add a new introduction, add a new hook, do it in a different format. Maybe you did it as a carousel first and you want to repurpose it as a video next. So just look back at your top performing content and think about ways to repurpose that. And then lastly, again, we've touched on this a little bit, but going behind the scenes and showing a little bit more about who you are, your brand, your processes, that sort of stuff. And if you still need help, we actually introduced the post idea generator just about a month or so ago. So this is a new tool in Planoly, but you can go in, you can answer these prompts, and it will generate 3 custom ideas that are custom to you. I will say the more specific you are in the prompts, obviously the more specific your outputs are going to be. So really try to think about these things. If you put a very, very vague, target audience, for example, then it doesn't give it a lot to work with. But from there, it will give you 3 custom post ideas. And if you like them, the cool thing about it is that there's a button you can click that you can save it directly to your grid and it will save it as a placeholder, which is really great. So that's a really fun new feature that we have. We also have weekly trends and calendar events. So every week we go in and update 3 weekly trends that are trending across TikTok and Instagram. We link the audios. We give like an example of how you may use them. So this is like a great way to stay on top of trends. One word of caution, I will say, I don't think everyone should jump on every trend. I think it's very obvious when people are doing that and it doesn't perform very well. So I encourage you to be very intentional about the trends that you do hop on and making sure that you can do them in a way that makes sense for you and that does actually like relate back to your brand. We also have calendar events, so you'll never miss, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, that's on your calendar. We also have like fun events like National Burger Day, National Margarita Day, that sort of stuff. This is a secret, actually, big secret that don't tell anyone I told you this, but we're actually going to be introducing a pop culture events calendar, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, I love
I will
it.
send you fire
Because
because that is what
yeah, we do the extensive research about whatever's happening because this is the part of our job,
Yeah.
but we know how difficult it is for creatives, to stay
Yeah.
on top of like everything that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So it'll have like, the Oscars, the Harry Styles album release, like big
Yeah.
movie, like things like that you might want to jump on. So we're very excited about that. That will be coming very soon, as soon as I can bug our engineers enough to build it, but it's coming. It's in the pipeline.
so much
And then
needed.
lastly, one thing that I wanted to touch on too that will really help. We have this feature, if you're familiar, it's similar to ManyChat if you're familiar, but we have this feature called auto DMs where you can set up smart automations that are triggered based on keywords. So you've probably seen this where someone will say, comment certain word, comment link, and I'll send you the link. And so you can set this up if you have a post, and you just want to even send someone your rates or send someone your website, right? If you're interested in booking, like bookings for fall 2026 are now open, comment book, and I'll send you the link. So this is a really, really great way to take this element out of social media as well. So you don't have to be like constantly monitoring your DMs and monitoring your comments and just let the tool do the work for you. The more you can do that, the better. I'm such a such a big fan of that. And I think this is where AI really can be helpful to all of us, right? It's like we don't need it to generate photos for us. Like we are creatives, we have that down. What we want it to do is run these systems and processes that we don't want to do, which is responding to every single one of our comments, right? And sending people links. So this is a great feature that is available in Creator Store. And I really encourage you guys to check that out. But otherwise, you can use Planoly to plan your content, schedule your posts, and automate your comments and DMs as promised. There is your code PLAN30 for 30% off all Planoly plans. We do have a 2026 Instagram workbook that is available for free. I believe we're going to send it out as a link afterwards, but if not, it's also linked in our Instagram bio. So you can go check that out, download that for free. It has a lot of the stuff we covered today, just in case I talked too fast and you didn't get your notes down. But otherwise, I think we'll go ahead and open it to a Q&A if anyone has any questions, if you're not sick of hearing me talk.
Yeah, we actually saved some of the questions, so we're going
Perfect.
to read them out for you. And guys, if you have any questions, you can also put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask Codi a question
Raise the
yourself.
hand first.
Yeah, raise the hand
All right,
first.
let's start with Tom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom, my question for photographer, is it better to post regularly but give up on a perfectly styled, consistent feed, or should I stick to high quality and consistent feed design, even if it means posting less often? Who wins, the overall feed aesthetic or high posting frequency?
Oh, this is like $1 million question.
Yeah, it is. It is. I will say it's really hard. It's really hard. What I would say is I would lean towards posting more and letting go a little bit of your Instagram grid. That's not to say you have to completely just not care anymore about, building your aesthetic, but I will say I think people care a little bit less about that than they used to. That was such a big thing in like 2019, 2020, and now I think people don't care quite as much about like the overall Instagram grid. So if that is the thing that is stopping you from posting consistently, then I would definitely lean towards the side of like just go ahead and post consistently and let that pressure go to have such a perfectly curated grid.
Yeah, I will chime in here. I feel like with the rise of TikTok and the popularity that it has right now, people are drawn to more like, let's say, raw, unfiltered kind of content, and the over-polished Instagram feed that we used to like plan, like you mentioned, right, in the beginning of Planoly, like printing out
Yeah.
and thinking about it. It feels like it doesn't matter that much anymore. It says like all because people are drawn to like immediate response to the pop culture moments or like your opinions, etc. Right? So I want to say, yeah, frequency wins.
Yeah.
Building on Codi. Okay, Chelsea. Consistency question. Does consistency have to be on set days, for example, every Tuesday or Thursday, or could it be like 2 times in a week, anytime, as long as it's 2 times in a week?
Great. That's a really good question. And I know I mentioned that. I know I said Tuesday, Thursday. It totally does not have to be at all. What I would say though is try to space it out. Doesn't have to be on set days, but try to space it out. So it's like, okay, you want to post twice a week. Maybe don't do Monday, Tuesday on one week and then Friday, Saturday on the next week because you are leaving that big, 10, 11 days in the middle where you're not posting at all. So try to space it out a little bit, but it definitely doesn't need to be on very specific set days.
Okay, thank you.
Another question comes from Germany about music. Would you say it also works well with license-free music? Over here in Germany, we have the huge issue at the moment that everyone left and right is getting sued for copyrights.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, most of the popular sound can be used.
Yes, that's a really good question too. We at Planoly, we also can only use royalty-free commercial music, which I know is not as fun, right? You can't use like the popular songs that are trending, but it still works. It totally still works because the main benefit of adding music is not necessarily to have the most popular track, but it's to make sure that that carousel can show up in the Reels feed. So any sort of music, even if it's royalty-free, is totally fine.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, question from Cheryl. Oh, this one is interesting. How can we get a link in caption in Instagram? I have some friends who has this. I actually personally never seen it myself.
I also never seen the link,
Codi, do you know?
but some friends of Cheryl does have it.
Like the link, clickable link
Like
in
Cheryl,
caption.
if you're here, can you just chime in or elaborate? So it's a clickable link.
Yeah, I
Codi,
can. I
you
actually, we
It
just
is
published.
Yes, it is the clickable link in the caption. And some of my friends, fashion blogger friends, they have it. I don't. So I've seen a screenshot of how you get it in there, but I don't have that.
You don't have this feature.
Yeah. So we actually just published, if you want to go look at our blog, Cheryl, it's planily.com/blog. We just published a blog post on this yesterday, but it is currently, they're testing it with a small subset of Meta verified users. So you do have to be subscribed to Meta verified. And they are just testing it with that subset of users. So there's no indications yet of whether they're going to roll that out to a wider group of users, but it is a pay to play feature right now. And you are limited, I believe, to 10 links per month.
Okay, it's testing on.
The test round. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, Renee, do you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
Thank you
same.
so much, by the way.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for all the great info that you shared with us. One of the questions that I had was, how long in advance should we plan so that it doesn't become overwhelming? Because I think, at least for
Yeah.
me, it's one of those things where I plan for 2 weeks in advance, and then after that, I burn out because I plan for that, and then work comes up and all these things happen.
Yeah.
So how long in advance should we plan so that it doesn't become this thing that you have to do so often?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is going to be a very annoying answer, and I apologize in advance. This is going to be a different answer for everyone, right? Whatever works for you may not work for someone else. What personally I think works is planning 2 weeks out. I know you mentioned that that feels a little overwhelming to you, so maybe start just planning 1 week out, and maybe you do that strategy of on Mondays you block some time and you just plan that week of content, and then you do that every Monday and see how that works for you. But what we like to do is plan 2 weeks out, and then we leave space too for those more trending moments, right? Like if something comes up and we want to hop on a trend, it's like we leave open space so that we have our normal posts covered, we have our content pillars covered, but then we can jump in and like do more fun posts or like breaking news. Like the links thing yesterday is a good example. Like we're like, oh, that's a breaking news. We need to get that up this week. So we leave spots for adding in that sort of like more time sensitive content and just plan out our more like evergreen content. But yeah, I think 2 weeks, like, if you're planning 3 posts a week, maybe, and that's 6 pieces of content, you can probably do that in an hour or so. So plan that and just spend an hour like every Monday planning out 3 posts a week for the next 2 weeks, and then you have room and you can always go back. If you have more time or you feel inspired, you can always go back and add in more. But just knowing, I think, that you have your bases covered will release a little bit of that stress, knowing like, okay, I at least have 3 posts a week and I can do more if I feel so inclined. And if I don't, if life takes over and I'm stressed, then it's like not the end of the world, right? Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that does help.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Codi. Okay, another question from Chelsea. If we're making carousels with wording on the photos, can we make them in Canva and post, or should we use a different program that you recommend? Maybe some apps, like editing apps, yeah.
Yeah. So I will be totally honest, we use Canva for all of our graphics. Every single one of them. So it's totally fine to use Canva. Just make sure if you're doing that, make sure that you are putting the keywords in the caption, and just like reiterating whatever the title is probably going to be your main keyword, right? It's like, I don't know, cinematic wedding inspiration. That's gonna be your main keyword. So just make sure that you're repeating that in the caption, since Instagram probably won't be able to read the graphic. But yeah, we use Canva and we don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, so is we. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah, double that as well. Okay, yeah, guys, I feel like if you want to like ask any more questions, maybe we have time for one or two more. Codi, I want to ask you a question about the TikTok, because like we do have open hours every week for the members of our community, and me and Alina will talk with like all the creatives in the industry, and one of the most popular questions recently, should we go and open an account on TikTok? What's
Yeah.
your take on it?
And if yes, what to post? Can we
Yeah.
can they just duplicate the same content as they post
Yeah,
on
you
Instagram, or
totally
should-
can.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, in an ideal world, you are creating separate content for TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, in ideal world.
But that's not the world that we all live in, right? Sometimes you just can't do that, and that's totally fine. On Planoly, actually, in our multi-platform scheduler, you can schedule the same content to publish on TikTok and Instagram at the same time. So that makes your life a lot easier, whether it's a carousel, whether it's a video. We actually have a new feature where you can schedule TikToks with sounds, which we historically haven't been able to do. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, you totally can post the same things on TikTok and Instagram. It may not perform as well, but I am a strong believer that some presence is better than none. So if that's all you can do right now, just cross-post your Instagram content. It's better to be there than to not be there at all. And then again, when you have time, when you have the bandwidth, maybe you can go create some TikTok specific content.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great answer, right? So if you have content, just utilize on both platforms, and if you use Planoly, it will help you to streamline the
on
posting.
Pinterest and
And on Pinterest, all over the platforms.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a very extensive session. They've already built in homework for everyone. So it's time to send you thank yous to Codi.
And Codi, thank you so very much, because usually when we have like the wedding professionals here, they mostly share their personal experience. And thank you for your expertise, because you exactly gave us facts, what works, what don't, not only from the personal experience, but like from knowing how Instagram operates and being like in this industry for so many years, of course, using it for personal purposes, but also knowing so much more than just like us, let's say, consuming the features that Instagram releases.
Yeah.
So we're going
Absolutely.
to you can see in the chat all the gratitudes that people are sending to you, that they're like, it was a
one of the most insightful sessions so far, and definitely for Instagram it was so great, and all the checklists they were not overwhelming, but it was very useful.
Good.
And we're going to send a recording to everyone, and plus some tools, right? Like some checklists from this. Okay.
Yes.
So stay tuned, guys, and we will see you soon. And thank you so much, Codi, once again for your time and your wisdom.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you everyone for coming and asking questions. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you.